everyone, welcome. My name's Andrea. Welcome to today's live. It's pretty exciting around here because it is getting close to the holidays for all of us teachers and students, and that's exciting. So in today's video, what I want to talk to you about is this whole notion that we are asking kids to focus, pay attention, have sustained attention spans, and I'm not sure that we're always giving them practice to do it. Because if you think about a lot of adults, when I do a lot of yoga and I'm in yoga classes, or if I'm with friends, I'll say, I really need yoga. I want to be able to meditate, but I just can't slow my mind down. Well, that's what happens. That's what's happening in classrooms with our kids. They're not able to focus their mind and get still. So I'm going to give you a really easy way to teach kids focus, sustained attention, self-regulation, and we're going to even tie it into math curriculum. Okay, so it's a lot of fun. So what I do is I am an exceptional education teacher. I love all the kids I work with, and what I do when I work with them is I work on the physiological basis of learning first, and then all of my great ways to teach, right? All of us teachers have awesome ways to teach, but first I address the physiological basis of learning because that makes learning easier. So this month, my movement of the month is the holiday tree pose, and I want to talk to you about it. I want to tell you the benefits of it, I want to give you some ideas for how to teach it, how to incorporate it, and of course tell you why that's happening, and tie it to curriculum too. So let me show you the PDF that you can get for free from andreafry.us. I just printed it out black and white today. It looks like this. It's the holiday tree, and I'm lucky enough to work in a school, and I don't use my own students as the models because I'm just not comfortable with that. I don't like to use my own students, but what I do have here are friends' kids that help me out with demonstrating in the pictures. So what I know from teaching this with kids, this picture here where the head is up looking back, that's the hardest expression of the pose. So what I've been doing with children is having them simply stand, put all their weight on one foot, and then get ready for the next leg options, right? Where you can have the heel and the toe on the calf or above the knee, but you don't want to put pressure on the knee, all right? And what I tell them is we're about to get in the pose, and again, I show them a picture of what it looks like. We're doing the very first one here. And I tell them I'm going to set a timer. And why I think this is really great and really important is I tell them, I'm going to set a timer and we're going to start with 30 seconds. If you fall out of the pose, if you fall over, you lose your balance, but you try to get back in, then it doesn't count as not being successful for the 30 seconds. If you just fall out and you're done and you don't try again, then I can't count the full 30 seconds. And now here's my curriculum motivation, my curriculum connection to motivate them. So let me show you what I've done. I work with groups, different groups of 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. So we have this, and on the bottom you can see I've color-coded 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. We have the date, and then here I'm line graphing how long they're able to balance on one foot. And again, if they come out of balance during this time, so I'm waiting for the timer to go off, if they fall out but come back in, it still counts. Because think about it. Think about when you're learning to meditate and they tell you your mind's going to wander. The trick is to bring it back. And of course that still counts, right? So this is teaching focus. It's teaching self-regulation. And something else that it's really doing is drawing attention to the midline of the body. And most children, in my experience, who have gaps in their learning do not have a solid sense of their own midline, right? So you picture when you're standing and I'm asking you to balance your weight on one foot, you're having to shift your midline so that it's the equal balance over one foot. Now here's the other thing I want to tell you about this pose, which I found really fascinating, is that if you have ever seen a tree pose in yoga, and I'll back up and show you what it looks like, it's going to look something like this, right? Where your foot is in, you're out. This requires a lot of flexibility in the hip, and what I have seen in using this with kids is they don't have that flexibility, whether it's because the generation of kids we're teaching now isn't outside enough, they're on electronics, whatever it is, their flexibility is not as great as I would guess years ago. So use just the first couple expressions of the pose where even the toe is on the ground and the knee is out. So that's kind of looking like that. You can bring the leg up, right? And again, even if you're just doing step 1 or 2 of the pose, and again, you can get this at andreafry.us, the PDF. If you're only doing step 1 and 2 and you're timing, I just tell them, look, let's challenge this by looking up, because the farther you look up, the harder it is to balance. Even harder is closing your eyes. If your kids are open to that, or if you've built a trust factor with that. So give that a go. And the other thing this does, just on a physical thing, is we're strengthening the ankles and the core. So I've said it before, I'll say it again, strong core, strong mind, right? So much is going on. It seems so simple, and it is. This basic balance pose where you're setting your timer, you're getting the kids into it, you're setting it, they're focused, they're trying. It's really interesting because of course they're gonna lose, but I'm just so motivated by how hard they're trying. And the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders want to beat each other in sort of how long they try on each foot. So again, as long as they're trying the whole time, I don't mind if they're falling and then getting back into it. And of course, as a teacher, you know that when they're getting silly and when they're not. So you can do classroom management tips around that for sure. Do me a favor, if you are watching now, if you are watching on a playback, let me know. So I'm thinking that it might be going a bit wonky right now because of my internet connection, but I hope not. So I just want to talk a little bit more about this. I've made a list of things I want to do. This pose is really, really good for other things too, right? So what we know is some days our balance is super spot on, and then other days we just don't have the same amount of balance. We're off in different things. And I feel like by charting this and having them be self-aware and just noticing for themselves of how they did on one leg versus the other, how they did on one day versus the next day versus 2 days from now, is an exercise in self-reflection and acceptance as well. Wow, I didn't do as well yesterday as I did today. And then letting it go, letting it be okay. That it's a moment in time, it's not a big deal, and just teaching that sort of mindset. Really, really important. So this pose is super easy, super simple. One of my favorite authors always says that a lot of our really simple techniques to help students with the physiological basis of learning are so easy that we just dismiss them. We're almost looking for a harder solution. But I promise, by practicing this every single day, the focus, self-regulation, and balance, it has to improve, because repetition is the mother of mastery. It just is. So kind of fun that way. And one more thing with the curriculum connection is, with graphing, you can talk about line graph versus bar graph. You can see if you can challenge them to create their own graph with maybe the data going sideways. The X and Y axis are labeled, and timing as well, right? So if you wanted to use an analog clock and have somebody be in charge of timing the actual seconds, that's another curriculum connection. So I hope this is helpful. Please write in any comments, questions you may have. I'd love to hear from you. And I will be back again. We'll do a final one before Christmas next week, same time, Wednesday at 3 p.m. Hi, Stephanie. Thanks for watching. I wonder if you're right next door. Anyway, take care, everyone.